Job hunting sucks, and to prove it, I analyzed 5,000 job listings to figure out just how much experience you need for an entry-level position. Must be a college grad with a minimum of 20 years experience in the business world. Let me explain. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Alright, so I'm a YouTuber now, but for the longest time, I thought I was gonna work a 9-to-5 job, so I did all of the things I thought I needed to do. I studied math and finance, I joined business clubs at university, and I ran through the gauntlet of every new grad job opportunity out there. It was humiliating, it was exhausting, and honestly, it just sucked butts. Sorry. If you haven't been job hunting recently, here's what it's like. Here's the resume you asked for. Cool, thanks. So where'd you go to school? It's on my resume. Any relevant work experience? Oh, this is an entry-level job, right? Yeah, that's why we're just looking for like 3 to 5 years of relevant work experience. I don't have that. Well, you'll hear from us. And then you never hear from them. And I know I'm not alone on this because I asked you guys on Instagram what your biggest job hunting frustrations were, and whew, there were a lot of them. Besides being completely dehumanizing, the biggest complaint that I saw was the notion that you needed work experience to start working. It doesn't make sense. It's like the chicken and egg problem on capitalism. But is it true? Today, in this video, you and I are going to figure out how much experience you really need to start working, and why that's even a thing. Okay, I need data. So what I'm gonna do is borrow some entry-level job postings without permission from a website that rhymes with Indeed. Yep, that works. But jobs have locations, so in order to make this video as applicable to you as possible, I'm going to be using a standardized distribution of the top 3 English-speaking countries that watch these videos. So that is the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. Sorry, Australia, you didn't make the cut. It also says that 54.5% of y'all watching this probably aren't subscribed, so you should do something about that. Anyway, if my goal is to analyze 5,000 entry-level jobs, that means I need... Future Sabrina, can you do this? I did it. All right, let's start. So I'm doing a thing called web scraping. It's pretty easy. It's just time consuming. For the nerds watching, I'm using Python, Selenium, and Beautiful Soup, as well as a VPN, because I don't want my actual IP address to get blacklisted. What if I need to get a real job? Anyway, for the non-nerds, here's the gist. Every web page is made of these little containers that hold information. I tell my code what containers to look in to get what I need. Then it sucks up that information like a little vacuum. Okay, so that's just gonna run in the background. Hopefully it doesn't fail. Anyway, while I'm gathering all of the data to figure out how much work experience you need to start working, I figured it was high time to start on the second part of my question. Why? What was the reason? We can't use that too many videos in a row. What is the reason to expect experience for an entry-level job? I learned 2 things. First, the attitude of people writing about job hunting is terrible. Here's some of the stuff they said. New college hires are like toddlers. They know a bunch of stuff, but not how to put it all together. Someone coming straight out of college with 0 years of experience is going to be a dud. A complete waste of time. Not a human being, apparently. And like the articles that promise tips on helping out in the job hunt, they just called people lazy and shamed them for not being successful. Like the whole industry around trying to get a job seems to forget that people are people who are just trying to survive under capitalism. I'm so tired. Anyway, second thing, I did find a few articles that outlined the logic behind why entry-level jobs would expect any experience at all. However, it is largely based off of anecdotes from people who work in HR or survey data, so take all of this with a grain of salt. Here are 3 reasons why entry-level jobs might expect experience. First, screening. It's the same reason why college applications expect standardized test scores and personal essays. The more comparable data points employers have, the easier it is for them to filter for top candidates. While not always the best measure, having relevant and recent experience usually doesn't hurt. Second, cost reduction. The faster an employee can get to work, the faster they can start making employers money. People with less experience may need more time to learn not only the specific skills of the job, but also what is expected of them in the workplace dynamic. Finally, non-existence. There's a fair argument to be made that our popular understanding of entry-level work doesn't align with the reality of what's available. With traditional entry-level work being automated or outsourced, many base-level jobs expect a higher degree of skill that education alone does not prepare you for. So, employers just jump ahead and ask for people with experience. Regardless, the expectation of work experience consistently served as shorthand for the employer's convenience, not a hard rule. If you satisfy most requirements, believe in your competence, and want the job, then it's worth applying anyway. The worst thing they can say is no, or ghost you. So those were just some reasons why entry-level jobs might expect experience, but the question remains, how much? That's what this spreadsheet's for.
It's not the most impressive spreadsheet I've ever made, but you know, I'm doing my best. Anyway, this contains the 5,000 jobs that I scraped. Just a word of warning, this is recent data, so it might not be fully representative of more precedented times. However, here's what I found out. Of 5,000 entry-level job postings, 12% expected prior experience. Of those jobs, only 15% expected 3 to 5 years of experience. In fact, the vast majority of jobs that require experience preferred only about 1 to 2 years. However, there was this one bonkers job posting that said, must be a college grad with a minimum of 20 years experience in the business world. What does that even mean? Anyway, the most common jobs that don't mention experience were in retail and service, while the ones that do were usually office jobs or work that required more technical expertise.
So, how much experience do you need to start working? Well, if you want a job, period, you're willing to accept anything, you don't really need experience, or at least that's what the job listings say. However, if you want a job that's more traditionally considered a career, then you're gonna need at least 1 year under your belt. Preferably 2. Why that happens can be for a number of reasons, but one thing is true. It's a bummer. Because, as you know, we live in a society, and so people need to work to live. For most people, their job is their main source of money, so it directly impacts their quality of life. And every time we increase the barrier to entry for work, we push people away. For example, consider gig work. By definition, it is temporary. It comes with all of the risk and none of the health insurance. I asked some of you why you take on gigs, and the top reason wasn't, I want to be my own boss. It was low barrier to entry. People need money now, so they'll take the job they can get. And listen, I know what some of y'all are about to say. Of course we need barriers to entry. Businesses have valid reasons, supply and demand. Stonks! But shut up for a second, right? Because I don't believe that that is a good enough reason for humanity to dedicate so much of its existence to maximizing hireability. Is that crazy to say? Is that wild? Like we're told, do well in school so you can get into an even better school, and that stamp from that better school will get you a better job. That's like 10 years of your life. And economics aside, I think that that is silly. And I don't have a pretty bow to tie up this video. I had a question, and I found the answer that everybody expected. However, I do have one thing to say, just one request for the people on the other end of all of these terrible job portals. And it's this. Can you please just tell us if we don't get the job? You already have our emails. Just say you didn't get it instead of ghosting. Is it that hard? I'm done. Hey there, I hope you liked that video. If you did, consider sharing it with a friend. It is easily the biggest way you can support this channel right now. You may also like these videos we made answering why things are the way they are, like why your parents text weirdly, or why conspiracy theories are so easy to fall for. But stick around for a second because we are thanking Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And I'm gonna do it while balancing on a spinning chair. Call me a daredevil.
In case you didn't know, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes covering just about any skill. If you're anything like me and you feel like you have too much to do and too little time, you should join me in taking Thomas Frank's masterclass on productivity, where you can build a truly custom system that works. My favorite lesson is getting better at email. I am so bad at email. Anyway, it's curated specifically for learning, so there are no ads.
Why is it making this sound?
They're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 of y'all to click the link in the description will get a free trial of a premium membership, so you can explore your creativity. But either way, I'm gonna do a full rotation here. Have a lovely day.